Hello, this is the Universal Mind Channel, and this is our last episode on reincarnation, the scientific theory. In this episode, we're going to describe how your memories are received after they're emitted from your dying body. So let's get to it. So far, we've shown the steps needed for our individuality, our personality, to be transferred out of our dying body. Our individuality is downloaded in memory signals from our neurons to the limbic system for prioritization. The memories are then transferred by ions to the hippocampal sulcus for flash encoding upon biophotons, forming a biophotonic packet containing memories of your personality. The important events from your life that you can't forget, that you take with you from life to life to life. This biophotonic packet is then emitted out of your dying brain. It takes less than a second. Where do these biophotons go? Light acts as both a particle and as a wave. As a wave, phi alpha can be both observed and measured. Phi alpha will have a wavelength and a frequency just like any other electromagnetic wave. Phi alpha will be capable of being received just like any other wave, given the appropriate receiving antenna. There are only two logical options as to what this receiving antenna could be. Either the receptor is a biological life form or it isn't. Simple logic dictates the conclusion that evolution intended phi alpha to be received by the same species from which it was transmitted. Evolution is, by both process and purpose, biologically oriented. Therefore, it can only transmit information within a species, the same species. Evolution, we believe, crafted phi alpha as an electromagnetic wave to be received and absorbed by a fetus in the womb as quickly as possible after emission and release from the dying host body. The phi alpha matrix is transmitted as a quantum mechanical state and received by the human fetus through the antenna-like organ of the spinal cord before birth. This is not as strange as it may seem to you. Think about it. California State University at Sacramento, Professor Balaguru's paper on, quote, investigation of the spinal cord as a natural receptor antenna for incident EM waves and possible impact on the central nervous system, reported his team's research on the effects of EMF waves on biological systems, including the spinal cord. Their application of modern modeling technology known as finite difference time domain was used to simulate various voltages and electric currents in different parts of human and animal tissues. When they applied this technology to analyze incoming EMF waves to the spinal cord, they observed that the spinal cord acts as a natural antenna, receiving information. The spinal cord begins to develop with the rest of the brain about week 5, 3 weeks post-conception. Therefore, it appears that both the brain and the spinal cord grow together from the beginning as one system. In fact, images of 3-month-old fetuses show the spinal cord already developed as a fibrous filament that enters the brain and merges with the pons and cerebral peduncle as one undifferentiated tissue. At this stage, the spinal cord is shaped like a small thread or filament. The thread-shaped tissue of the spinal cord extends into the brain of the fetus, curling like a snake around the thalamus into the midbrain itself. Consider a complete human spinal cord and its connection to the brain. Special note should be given to the length of the cord and its antenna-like appearance. Though the main part of the spinal cord is located within the spinal column down the back, its nerve roots extend like tendrils outward from the spinal cord. Together they create a web-like structure perfectly suited as a bioantenna to receive the phi alpha wave signal. Consider how the human spinal cord's nerve roots look when spread out as they would be in the body. It looks like a modern web-meshed antenna array used today in modern telecommunications, doesn't it? Like any other electromagnetic wave, phi alpha passes through the mother's tissue and is absorbed by the fetus's developing spinal cord like any antenna absorbs electromagnetic radiation of receivable wavelength. The size, length, width, and density of the cord and the nerve root tissue itself may all play a role in determining the wavelength and frequency required for reception of the phi alpha wave signal. And as a side note, someday, I predict, we'll have an instrument that can measure this frequency and this wavelength, thereby validating and proving the existence of reincarnation by proving the reception of this wave by a fetus's spinal cord tissue. All it takes is the right instrumentation, and all that's going to take is time. The proof of reincarnation lies in your future with the right technology. Once implanted within the tissue of the spinal cord, phi alpha memories are gradually unencoded from their carrier photons. The spinal cord tissue would separate the photonic particles from the ionic particles that carry them. The photons would be absorbed as energy, leaving the ions behind for decoding by the fetal limbic system when they were developed enough to perform that task. Until then, however, the ionic memories would remain stored safely within the spinal cord itself. And it would be uploaded from the spinal cord into the brain over time. I submit to you, that is why children's minds and their personalities develop, not immediately, but once they begin reaching 10 to 12, 14 years of age, their personalities change. And I believe it's at this point that the memories stored within the spinal cord tissue begin emanating up the cord into the brain itself, and all of a sudden these young people have personalities of their own. From where? From past lives. At first glance, the concept of our spinal cord tissue being an electromagnetic communication device sounds incredible. Nevertheless, the idea of a fetal spinal cord acting as a virtual radio wave antenna is not only possible, it's highly likely, and according to the research at California State University, Sacramento, validated. This is not science fiction. You pass on your DNA in your sperm and your eggs. You can't see it. And you individually, without scientific equipment, can't measure it. But it's there, isn't it? You create new life forms. Your child, your children, carry you with them. Why can't you transmit? You can transmit your DNA to an unborn nothing into something and make it a child through your DNA. Why can't you pass on your memories into another child as yet unborn? What's so crazy about that, folks? Think about it. Expand your brains, expand your minds, expand your consciousness. This is the Universal Mind Channel, and this is the end of our study on reincarnation, the scientific theory. Have a good day.